Good morning. What is going on, all you stylists from the back room? Thank you so much for joining us today. I am solo, so I actually have a nice little presentation for you guys. I'm going to be going over some stuff. Got a bunch of notes, so I'm going to be going over my notes just to make sure that I don't miss anything by accident. If you guys have any questions that are watching during the live stream, make sure you put them in the comments and I will get to you. Make this a little more interactive. Couple of housekeeping things this week. The June 16th credit hours, CE hours class is coming up. We are 3 weeks out. So definitely make sure you go to htbbeauty.com, sign up, get your spot reserved. Renewals is coming up September, man. So we don't have a lot of time left. So that's that one. Some of you that came from last Monday, if you didn't get your hours already, then you need to reach out to me. There's still a couple of people left I've seen that haven't responded or check your emails. Make sure to check your emails because that's the main form of communication. Otherwise, I got to try to find your phone numbers and try to hunt you down. So that's not fun all the time to have to do. 1 second. Let me do this. There we go. All right. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter live stream today because I'm solo, but like I said, I got my notes, make sure I go over everything nicely. One thing I want to do before we get into the stylist guide is there's a lot of people been asking me about keratin or K-tip hair extensions. And am I familiar with a lot of the new techniques and the new things that have come out? Yeah, sure, I'm familiar with it. I always keep on top of these things, and people always ask me about these things all the time. I'm going to keep it short, sweet, and simple. All right. Hair extensions is not about how you put them in. It's about how you blend them after they're put in. It's about how the client wears them after they've been put in. And it's about how you remove them after you've put them in. So the application method itself does matter because that's the plan moving forward. You're either setting yourself up for success or you're setting yourself up for failure, or you're setting yourself up for a hell of a lot of work down the line. All right. Whether it's you or your client, somebody's going to have a lot of work to do down the line. That's some of the things that you have to pay attention to with the different application methods and techniques. Plastic bonds, if you can get 50 or 100 bonds online and order them online for less than $100, you're not getting good quality. I forget about the hair. I'm just talking about the attachment area itself. The hair is a whole nother problem. That's a whole nother video for another day. The attachment area itself, that's more than likely some kind of a plastic or some kind of a resin or a glue-based bond. That's why you hear the expression, melting the bond into your hair. It is literally fusing and becoming part of your hair strand. The only way you can remove that afterwards is to break that connection, break that bond, which if this hand of mine is your hair shaft, and this hand of mine is the bond, and they are not making surface contact with each other, they've actually fused and become one, you have no choice. Once you're breaking the bond, you're breaking the hair too. So that's why you hear hair extensions cause damage in the hair. That's why it's bad. That's why we don't recommend using high temperature heats, nor do we recommend using low quality bonds. And we don't recommend using attachment techniques that are harsh to the hair. You got to be mindful of everything. It's all of the above. All right. So with that said, just pay attention, be mindful. You need to get good quality. Now, even if you do have a good quality bond, you still have to pay attention. How are you putting it in? Are you putting in a full bond and by the time you've installed it into the client's hair, it's 2-3 inches long? That's still going to be a lot of work, and removing that's going to be very painful and a lot of help. Are you gluing them in? Are you curing them in? Are you, heating them in? All of those things matter too. You do have to pay attention to all of that. Just because something looks good on a 1-minute video or a quick reel, I mean, that's kind of the whole point. It's supposed to look good to get you excited so we can be having this conversation right now. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's always the right choice for your client that you're working on. So always pay attention to your client's hair. I'm personally going to be always very opinionated. A keratin bond, a K-tip bond, is going to be the best one because you can cut it down the most, you can customize it the most, you can manipulate it the most. And when you're making contact to the hair, you just have to make surface contact. You never have to bind it. You never have to pinch it. You never have to melt it or fuse it or whatever other word you want to use, cure it in or whatever. You never have to do any of that. All you have to do is just make surface contact. It's just borrowing space alongside the natural hair. That's awesome, because then what ends up happening is when it's time to remove it, when it's time to release that contact, you just have to break that surface contact and it slides right off, leaves the natural hair in place, leaves it all alone. Done. Simple, easy. And because you can cut a keratin bond way smaller, it's just that much more gentle onto the client's hair. And if it's that much more gentle onto the client's hair, then it's just going to be that much easier for a client to maintain it, to take care of it. So all the way around, that's everything I'm going to tell you about a keratin bond. I'm not going to be naming any brand specific because I'm being respectful. Okay. And at the end of the day, you got to do what you feel comfortable with. But this is something that we talk about all the time. Just because you are comfortable with it, or just because it's the one technique that you have learned, doesn't mean that is the best technique for every single person's client hair out there. Just because it's what's trending right now doesn't mean that's the thing that you have to use. If it's trending, that just means it's popular. People are talking about it. It's not going to remain popular forever. The next thing is going to be popular to talk about, that 15 minutes of fame. Okay. Consistency is what you're looking for. And in a keratin bond, you need high quality keratin protein bond. You need a tool that's going to give you low heat or manageable heat. And you need an application technique that's going to give you surface contact, not fusion, not fusing it into the client's hair. So now the client has a small piece in their hair. It's easy for them to maintain it. When they come back in, it's easy for you to remove it, and it's less stress onto the hair. So that's everything we can talk about that. Now, John's not with me this week, but John and I have been doing the new Stylist guide. Today is part 3. So in the original one, we were talking about, or in the first part, we were talking about continuing your education and why it's important to always stay up to date with your education. In the last part, part 2, we were talking about building your portfolio, networking aggressively, and specializing, the options for specializing in a particular facet of our industry. Today, we're going to be talking about business skills and just practicing really good business skills. We're going to be talking about potentially offering discounts or promotions, okay? And then the last thing we're going to be talking about today is mentorship. So those 3 things are part of the tips that we're talking about. Next week, I believe we're going to round it off with a part 4. So the whole series is going to be a quick part 4 for our new Stylist guide. We're going to be talking about skill sets. We're going to be talking about staying inspired and promoting and pushing your skills out there. So that's what next week is going to be. All about. All right, let me do this and reset my brain. That's one of the things as well, is when you're talking to somebody, the more you get excited, the more faster your adrenaline starts rushing and your brain is going and going and going. And sometimes your mouth can't keep up with you. One of the things what ends up happening is we all have a tendency to use filler words to fill in those blanks to allow a moment for your brain to catch up. You'll hear a lot of people go, Another thing people do is like, you follow, savvy. I do that. My little tick that I am aware of is I'll say yeah or right, and I'll do that to fill in my gaps. That's my little tick. And I'm trying to force myself out of that. Best way to do it, pause. Silence is a very strong thing. Using silence is a very powerful thing in such a way that the person stays engaged because they're listening to you talk. All of a sudden, you're quiet. Even if they're not looking at you for the moment, because they hear the silence, they're going to look back at you to see what just happened. Especially if you're listening over an audio thing. Let me turn off my volume. I thought I did that. Me and technology are not always in lockstep with each other. Using a pause also lets your mouth catch up to your brain. And that's very important, especially when you're talking to somebody. Not doing those filler words just makes you sound more well-spoken, powerful, and in control of the scenario and the situation. And that's really what it's about. That's your first lesson about practicing good business skills. All right. The whole thing of this is if you are a new stylist, that doesn't mean you not only just graduated beauty school or you recently took your state board exam and you got licensed. A new stylist in the industry, what we consider a new stylist, is 5 years or less of experience. You've only been in the industry for up to 5 years or less. That is huge if you think about that, because 5 years is a long time. In the grand scheme of things, 5 years is a long time, but in the industry, to us, you're still a bebe. Things haven't started clicking yet. You still haven't started figuring things out. You haven't found your footing. You haven't found your hands. You haven't found the thing that you are particularly great at. There are things that you're good at. There's things that you are liking to do. You're starting to discover there are things that you're not liking to do, or you're questioning if this is what you have to do for the rest of your career. You gotta figure out, you gotta find yourself. So that first 5 years is vital, especially to building a book. Okay. See, I just did because I'm trying to figure out how I'm about to say this part. You may think you're talented. You may not think you're talented. Either way, even if you are the most talented person, it's going to suck if you never get discovered. And if people don't know who you are, then it doesn't matter how talented you are. I just did, I have a lot of tics myself. I am not infallible. I love pointing that out. The other thing, what you got to pay attention to, we were talking about rebooking. We were talking about getting yourself scheduled. We were talking about networking aggressively, right? See, right? The time is something that scares the living crap out of all of us. It's such a hairdresser thing. You're all looking at your watches and you're like, oh, my next client is about to come in. I'm going to start running behind. Oh, you showed up 5 minutes late. I'm going to be late for my next client. You're going to ruin my whole day. I can't run late. I can't run late. Yes, being respectful to time is a good thing. It really is. But if you're running late, that's okay. Equally so, if you're running ahead of schedule, that's okay. As long as you're communicating with your clients properly, then it doesn't matter if you're running late or if you're running on time, or even if you're running ahead of schedule. I've seen a lot of stylists lose their regular clients because they either just don't follow up with them. They start taking advantage of them. They say, oh, she's coming in. She never cares. She'll just sit and wait. You still have to greet them when they walk in. You still have to let them know that you're going to be a couple of minutes, you got to maybe bring them in and get them engaged with the conversation. Introduce them to the person that you're working on. You got to schedule yourself properly. Double booking is a fun thing to do. It's exciting. It definitely lets you double your income and your output per hour, your profitability. Yeah, sure. But at the same time, if you're not double booking intelligently, if you're not being smart about it, if you're not doing it correctly, you're just making a foobar situation. The clients are going to know the difference between double booking and you're on top of it versus double booking and you are scrambling like a chicken with your head cut off. So double booking is not always the right thing to do when you're pressured into doing it. This whole concept of just squeeze me in is not a good business skill. Don't be bullied by your clients. If you're if you're trying to squeeze every single client in the day just because, yeah, that's fine if you can handle it. But if you can't handle it, then you have to say no. That is a good business practice. That client is going to be upset because they really needed to get in or wanted to get in that day with you or in that moment with you. But if you handle it correctly, they're going to respect you in the future, because if you're saying no to them, then they know when their time comes, you're going to be saying no to the next person. You're not going to be squeezing them in on somebody else's, you're not going to be squeezing somebody else's time on their own time when it is their turn as well. So scheduling really, really matters. You really got to be on top of it. Okay. You got to control your book. Now that's double booking. What about regular booking? Well, if you see your day is heavy with haircuts, be mindful about throwing a color process in there or some kind of a chemical service that has downtime or processing time. Okay. If you're back to back to back, you got 3-4 haircuts in a row, you have no time in between to be doing much of anything. If you try to squeeze a hair color application in there, you think you can apply it quickly. Yeah, maybe you can. Okay, let's just say you can. Sure, why not? But if you're back to back to back on haircuts, where do you have time to excuse yourself to go do a shampoo? If you don't have shampoo help, where do you have time to excuse yourself to go do a shampoo? I don't care how good you are at washing somebody's hair. It's a minimum 5 minutes to wash a color out, because you got to rinse it out. You got to shampoo it out. You got to get all the staining off the hair. Maybe you have to do a toner afterwards. There goes another 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Maybe you're not going to do a toner. Maybe you're just going to shampoo them. You still got to do a conditioner. You still got to comb them out. You still got to towel dry them. You still got to brush them out, even if you're going to do that later on. Either way, at a minimum, washing out color is 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes longer if that's what it takes. Also depends how much color the client has. And I'm just talking if you did a touch-up. What if you did a pull-through? That's going to take extra time. What if you did foils? That's going to take extra time. You're automatically going to start running behind on your haircut and blow dry if you're back to back to back. Point is, don't throw off your vibe. Don't throw off your momentum. If you've got heavy on haircutting and styling, maybe that's your day. Just keep it heavy on those services. And that's okay. Your daily total, yes, you want to be profitable every day. But if you've just had a heavy haircut and blow dry and styling day, not a chemical day, that's okay, because you've had quantity of clients, and that quantity of clients is going to total a good profitable day. All right. By the end of the week, by the time you look at, Tuesday was heavy on haircutting and styling, no chemical services, but Tuesday and Wednesday were heavy on chemical services. Thursday was a hair extension day. Friday was a treatment day. Saturday was a mix of everything. By the time you look at your totals for the end of the week, they'll all average out, and you will have had a great profitable week. It all comes with smart scheduling. If you've got a heavy color day, then you know you've got application, processing. You've got somebody else squeezed in that processing time to do another color application. Then you've got a finish time. Then you've got another finish time after that. Then you've got a color application and another color application. Process, finish, finish. Keep that momentum going all day long. Don't start randomly throwing in a haircut, because that's going to throw off your momentum as well too. Things like that. Same thing works with hair extensions. Don't try to squeeze in. It just happened to me. Is it this Saturday? Is it this Saturday or next Saturday? It's either this Saturday or next Saturday. I have a hair extension starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. My client comes in and she goes, I really need my color done. I'm desperate. Get me in anywhere you can. I said, I don't have a choice. So you can show up on Saturday at 7:30 in the morning. I'm starting a hair extension at 8 o'clock. I will apply your color at 7:30. I may not be the one to wash your hair. I know you like it when I shampoo your hair, but I may not be the one to be able to wash your hair. And I ain't going to blow dry you afterwards. I'll give you my blow dryer. I'll give you my brushes. I'll set you up at my station. You're going to have to figure it out yourself afterwards too. That's all I got for you. If it's not, then you're going to have to figure out a different week. I'm booked. I keep telling you all the time, book before you leave. Don't just call in. I'm not going to have time, because majority of my clients are used to pre-booking. My book is already filled weeks and weeks in advance. And that's what she's going to end up doing. She's going to come in at 7:30. She's going to have to figure it out herself after I'm done applying her color. That's what mattered to her. That's what her emergency is this particular week, or whatever it is, this Saturday or next Saturday. And that's okay. That's just how it goes. And that's smart business practices. And that's building great communication with your client. That's how you make your profits for the week. That's how you manage your book. That's how you manage your future book. And that's how you manage your future clientele. So that's everything on good business practices. All right. Oh, that's delicious. I love drinking tea. Let's talk about promotions. You know, with promotions, everybody loves a deal. You yourself love a deal. You got to think about that. When you're shopping, are you paying full price for every single thing? There is a thing called perceived value. This is what we're talking about right now. Perceived value is, I want this. It costs this much. I am willing to spend this much amount of money to get this thing. Perceived value also works like this. I want this thing. It costs this much. Hell no. I don't think it's worth that much. There is no way I'm buying that. I would buy it if it cost this much. So I'll keep an eye on it. I'll put it on my wish list. If it goes on sale, you know, for if the price drops down to whatever it is, then I'll buy it, because it's only worth at a discounted rate. It's not worth the full price that it is. Perceived value also goes like this. I want this. It costs that much. That's kind of pricey, but look at all these other things that I get with it as a bundle, as a package. That's perceived value. That's something that we fall into a lot these days. We justify buying something because it's either going to save us time in the future. It's either going to come with a lot of other things that we can use for other things, or it has some kind of a benefit that just in case, we have this just in case built in. That's a lot of perceived value. This is why we justify buying it at the price of what it costs. That's what a deal is. That's what a promotion is. So when we're thinking about promotions, when we're new behind the chair, it doesn't just have to be discounted. And it doesn't just have to be free services. Now, I'm not saying don't do free services, and I'm not saying don't do discounted services, because those in their own right can be very powerful. But what are you discounting, or what are you giving away for free? That's what you have to figure out. Okay. Are you giving away a color service, but they have to pay for the highlights if they want highlights? Or are you going to try to upsell them into highlights? Are you going to try to give them a discount for first time client or first time visit? And then in the future, they're going to have to start paying for it. You know, those are all options. Yeah, sure, you could do that. But when they're there, you have to go above and beyond that first time. You really have to wow them, because you got them in under the assumption or under the pretense that, oh, this is my first time visit, therefore I get a deal. Yeah, okay, fine. But use that perceived value to your advantage, okay? That first time bundle could include a blow dry and a style afterwards. It doesn't just have to be a free color touch up or a discounted color touch up. It could include a free blow dry styling in there as well too. That's a service that doesn't cost you a lot of overhead. Cutting somebody's hair doesn't cost you a lot of overhead. So maybe discount the hair color, because there is a lot of overhead for doing color. Then you cover your cost at a minimum. And people are not dumb, okay? They can kind of justify it in their own mind as well too. Or you're going to go for broke and you're just going to give everything for free and you're going to eat that cost a little bit. That's something you can do as well too. Either way, if you're giving them a service that you're bringing them in for, and then while they're there, you're one-upping it and you're giving them a bigger service and you're expanding and you're upgrading that service with another service or another thing, it's exciting. It's super cool. Think about how many times you've gone to a restaurant and there was a group of you and you all ordered your dinners and you're all getting good dinners. Nobody's sharing plates. Everybody's getting their own individual dinner, right? And then all of a sudden you get an appetizer, compliments from the kitchen, compliments from the chef, or you get a dessert. So everybody gets dessert, compliments of the kitchen, compliments of the chef. You're all going to talk about that. Now, you just spent a couple $100 for your dinner, but you're all talking about the free little dinner dessert or the dessert or appetizer that you got. It's awesome because it makes you feel good. It's an appreciation thing. Think about any time you've gone on a vacation and you got a room, but they ask you, are you doing any kind of special occasion? Are you guys celebrating anything? And it's a honeymoon, it's a birthday, it's a graduation, it's some kind of a special event that you're celebrating. And then all of a sudden, the hotel upgrades you to a suite, from a standard room to a suite. They don't charge you anything extra. Those are all perceived values. It makes the person talk about that for weeks to come afterwards because that was exciting. Do the same thing behind your chair. When that client leaves, they're going to talk to all of their friends and all of their family members, and they're going to post about it, and they're going to say what an amazing experience they had when they was with you at your salon. So that's awesome. And that moves us into referrals, okay? I've talked about this before, but I think it's worth talking about it again. When I first started, I had a lot of time on my hands. The salon that I was in was in a strip mall. And there was a lot of other stores around us. I used to go to every single store every single day. And I would go to multiple stores as well, too. And I would flirt with everybody, guy or girl. I would be friendly with the guys. My God, would I flirt with the girls. And it was just to get people to like me and to remember me and recognize who I was. And everybody knew I was a stylist. I am only one person. I could only wait for one person to walk in through my door. But at the ice cream shop, yeah, during the summertime, they had a line out the door. Everybody wanted ice cream. It was a hot summer day. And they had their kids with them. And they were all talking and goofing off and ordering. And the girl behind the counter, I made her a deal. Every person she could refer to me, I would give her 50% off her next service for the first 5 people she referred. If she ever referred more than 5 people to me, I would start doing her hair for free. For every person she referred, I give her 1 free service. She was a young girl. So in her mind, she was like, oh, I'm going to cost you so much money because you're going to be doing my hair for free forever because I'm going to be constantly referring people to you all day long. What she didn't realize was for every person she referred, yes, I would give them a deal and a promotion and a discount for their first visit, but I would make them the same offer as well too. I was still breaking even, but then they were coming back. They didn't always refer somebody, so I was charging them full price, but I was giving her a free service. But then she'd refer me another person, so then I would give them a perceived value deal, and then they wouldn't always refer me somebody, so then I'd start charging them full price, and I'd give her free service. But then she'd throw me another person, another person, another person. So yeah, I did her hair for free for a long time. And then it just got to the point where she was cracking me up so much because she sent me over a dozen people. I just was doing her hair for free just because. And she used to use that as a bragging right amongst her friends. And her friends would get in on it. So then they would start referring me a bunch of people because they wanted to get their hair done for free forever too. And it built up my book. They built up my book for me. It was easy. It was simple. It was amazing. Okay. You have yourself your own little sales force without even realizing it. Do it. Why not? Why not? Build that deal with somebody. Be aggressive. Be very, very, very aggressive. Okay. And know what your profit margins are and know what you can do. Now, when that person is there, there is nothing wrong with continually offering them another promotion for something else. There's nothing wrong with that at all. We all know the car wash deal. You get your 9 car washes, your 10th car wash is free. People like it. People like it as a lot, you know. Oh, you got a haircut today? Next time you ever get color with me, it'll be this, or I'll include this. You ever get a hair extension with me? I'll do this. A perm, a treatment, an updo, an upstyle, whatever it takes. Bring a friend. Bring a friend for free. Do that promotion. We've talked about that a lot as well. So that's something that's that works out really, really nicely. The other thing I got to talk about is seeking mentorship. All right. Finding a trainer, finding a partner or a trainer or a mentor. Mentorship comes in many different ways. And this is something that I truly, truly believe in. I really do. A mentor doesn't just have to be somebody who's going to train you to get your skill set better in the thing you're specialized in. That absolutely helps. And you should always go back for continuing education. Absolutely 100% you should. But you got to think about this. Business, whether you're the owner, whether you're the independent, whether you are the commissioned stylist, you are still part of a business. And that business is not only about performing the service or the task at hand. We are also communicating with our clients. So you have to build that relationship with your client. And if you don't have a good mindset, a good attitude, a good mental connection with the person you're working with, then it doesn't matter how great you are at the service you're performing, you're not going to retain that client. You still have to connect with the client. You could seek out mentorship and training in how to do public speaking, like I was talking about earlier. Being mindful of your tics, of your filler words. Speed running and talking as fast as you can. Not everybody can hear you and listen to you that quickly. Some people are very slow when they talk. Some people are terribly slow when they talk. Some people need repetition and repeating. You have to say the same thing over and over a couple of times. Some people like really big vocabulary words. Some people, they don't. They like really simple. Some people are very crass. Some people are very highbrow. You can never cuss in front of them. These are all situations that you need to be mindful of, and you need to be able to assess and figure out how, like a chameleon, how to morph yourself to be able to address that client properly so you can connect with them on their level. Some people are very serious, some people are very goofy. So all of those things matter. You taking classes on public speaking is a powerful thing. And if you're not into classes, dear God, we have the YouTubes, we have the social medias. There are so many articles out there right now. John and I talk about motivation every single week. Okay. You can always come back and check us out too. We're always talking about how to be charismatic, how to be respectful, how to be professional behind the chair, not just with the service at hand. Practice talking to somebody. In this day of an age, with all the technology, we're so used to texting and communicating over chats. And that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, except for this. We tend to use a lot of slang and a lot of shorthand. We tend to misspell a lot of things, and we don't think about enunciating words properly. Now, when you're having to talk to somebody, that doesn't always track. That doesn't always get your message across very strong. So you have to practice speaking. You still have to verbally communicate with people. That's one way of doing it. Your skill set is the other way. Get yourself a trainer. Go for continuing educations. That matters as well. The other thing is you should read about psychology, or you should read about, at least have an understanding about stereotypes, about people's personalities. And I'm not saying in an effort to make fun of people, it's to understand where somebody's coming from. That's what it is. Being able to understand people's personality types. If you are strong-minded and somebody's very factual, you could kind of get along, but it's going to be a little bit rough. But if you're somebody who's a social butterfly and you've got somebody who's very strong personality, those two personalities are going to clash. You're going to have to figure out a way to deal with that person. Hell, think of family members. Okay, we just had a holiday weekend and everybody was probably at a barbecue with their families. And you know, there's that one family member that's very sensitive. You got to walk on eggshells around them because you don't want to set them off. You know, there's that other family member who's a clown, who's a goofball, and you better, you know, buckle down because they're going to be poking fun at you all day. There's the other family member who's always asking a ton of questions because they're heavily invested in what's going on. You are like their soap opera. And then you got that other family member who just likes to brag about everything. And they're like, they just want to talk about themselves. And you got to sit there and listen to them. And you're like, oh my God, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done yet? Those are all different. Those are very quick assessments of different personality types that you see and that you've grown up with in your own personal lives. And you have figured out a way to maneuver around them. Some you avoid, some you engage, some you are actually happy to participate with or in, and some you dread participating with, but you have to. These all translate. Those are all skill sets that translates into your work behind the chair as well too. When you're looking for a mentor, you got to figure out somebody who is brutally honest with you, and you have to feel that they actually care about the advices that they're sharing with you. You also have to take a look at how are you going to apply it? How are you going to practice it? Because that matters as well. You can't just listen to what somebody is saying. You have to be able to apply it, and it has to feel purposeful for you. It has to feel good for you. All right. So that's what this is all about. This is what I'm going to leave you with. I took a lot of time writing this out, so I hope I don't mess this up. You hear us talking about this all the time. is going out there and making a difference one client at a time. The reason why we wrote this, the reason why we go by this mantra, make a difference one client at a time, is because we all want to get busy quickly and we all want to become successful. We do. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It's almost as if when you post something out there, you hope it goes viral, right? And then all of a sudden you're just popular automatically by default because you had that one viral moment. But is that building a strong foundation? Are you going to last upon that? And did you really make a difference? Is going viral quickly really making a huge difference? That's something you got to look about. All right. You don't need 100,000 followers to be successful. You don't need to be booked months out. You don't need a fancy salon. You just need one client. You need one client that you could be professional with. You just need one client that you're going to make a difference. You're going to give them a purpose and they're going to give you a purpose. All right. Why are you making a difference with that client, with that one client, that one person? You don't know. Is that one person, are they going through a breakup? Are they starting a new job? Are they fighting some internal demon? When they are sitting in your chair, when they are with you, do you have the ability and the power to make a difference in that person's life, to make them feel good? Just because they look good, but we make them look good, but are we making them feel good? Are we empowering that person to feel beautiful again? Think about that for a moment. In this world right now, we're chasing a lot of money. We're chasing a lot of likes. We think those are the goals. The goal in life is to collect experiences that you can remember, that you can think back on, that you can share with somebody else. I hear people tell me all the time, like, oh, I have 10,000, I have 100,000, I have 1 million, subscribers and followers. And yeah, that is an achievement in itself. It really is. But how are you connected to those people? How are you sharing your experience with those people? And then right now you're watching this and you're going, well, I don't have that. I'm not there yet. You're more powerful than you realize. You're way, way, way more powerful than you realize. You have everything you need right here, right now. You have yourself. You have the motivation because you're actively watching this and listening to this. That means you're actively watching and listening to other things as well, too. Okay. You have come into this industry because you have a calling in you that you want to make a difference for somebody else. You want to be of service. You want to help somebody. You want to make somebody feel good. And that's awesome because you're building a legacy. You're building a future for yourself and you're helping. If you're at this level and somebody is below you, you're helping raise that bar. You're helping bring that person up. And then together, both of you can move up in life as well, too. And that's awesome because you built that with your own hands by yourself alongside somebody else. And you're making the world a better place, one person at a time. And that's what it's all about. So that's my live for you today. Best way to help us out and support us, if you care, is to go to hebbeauty.com. hebbeauty.com is our website. It's where we do all our education. It's where we have the products that we represent. It's where we try to help and connect with all of you out there. Reach out to us, give us a comment, let us know. And like the speech I just gave you all, go out there and make a difference, one client at a time. Thank you always for watching. We'll catch you next week.
The SFTB podcast was not recorded in front of a live studio audience, so thanks for joining us for today's episode. If our hair topics made you smile, give us a thumbs up. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'll read them while waiting for our caller to process. Share this video with your stylists and friends. It helps us make a difference, one strand at a time. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Because your hair deserves all the latest and greatest tips.